previously also, we have seen that agriculture is creating a lot of problem to the environment. In fact, the 15% of gases, greenhouse gases, is emitted by the puddle agricultural fields and the animals that we rear. So it is a major contributor to the environmental changes. This is the encroachment in the Amazon River. This is a satellite photograph. What they are doing, this is a lush green forest, evergreen forest, and they clear the roads. This is not a road; it's a very big area because this is a satellite photograph. Then they will go on encroaching the tertiary areas, and they will grow soybeans. Then they will fail all the plants, all the tree species, and they will go for crop cultivation, thereby degrading the whole Amazon environment. As you know, Amazon, the rainforest is shrinking day by day, 6,000 hectares per day. It is shrinking. Good afternoon. So I have divided my presentation in three forms. Mainly, first I will be talking about the wisdoms that the Indians have on different aspects of natural resource management, particularly agricultural resource management. And then we will see what are the present situation of these different issues, what is the present status of it. And lastly, we'll also see what are the scope, what we can do beyond this discussion on how we can internalize it or it formalize those indigenous knowledge that we have on the agricultural resource management. So first of all, as you know, the greatest peril of the Indian agriculture or the food system is that we are putting on a lot of emphasis on focusing on increasing food production. Every government in every country is interested in increasing the food production because, as you know, that the world population is increasing at a very alarming rate. So we need a huge quantity of foods to support these people. But we do not give a lot of concern about the environment. And because of this agriculture, as has been discussed previously also, we have seen that agriculture is creating a lot of problem to the environment. In fact, the 15% of greenhouse gases, is emitted by the puddle agricultural fields and the animals that we rear. So it is a major contributor to the environmental changes. Then we focus hunger. The third world countries or the developing countries, they are focusing on the hunger issue of the people. But we are not much concerned about the nutrition of the people. And another thing is that focusing on few crops. If you look at the world agriculture, you will see that although we have more than 70,000 edible plants in this world, plant species, but we are utilizing for human nutrition and the human health, we are utilizing only about 115 crop species. Rest we are not using. And this is why the agrobiodiversity has been lost, because they are not under cultivation. So gradually they got eliminated from the ecosystem. As a result, we have this extinction of different crop species or edible species. What are the drivers of this change in the agriculture that's happening? Major is the demographic change, as I have already mentioned, that the people are increasing in the globe. It's going to be $9.3 billion by 2025. So we will have to feed this huge population in the world. And the middle class, they are having good economic background. They are increasing day by day, 5 billion by 2030. And every 2% out of 3 will be living in the cities. So these are the situation. Higher income, people are having higher income. Even if you look at Indian context, you'll see that the proportion of the people having a relatively good income is increasing day by day, year after year. So this utilization, the higher income, they have more purchasing power, and as a result, they are changing their lifestyles and their food habits also. We are nowadays, you will see in the towns, most of the food habits are almost westernized food habits. We eat those things which the Western people used to eat earlier. So we have changed our diet as well. And then the next one is climate change. All you know about the climate change, how the climate change is impacting the environment, impacting the agriculture, all the ecosystem. We need not discuss more. Depletion of the natural resources. because of the human greed, probably, we are resourcing all our natural resources from the nature. As a result, all the natural resources is depleted because of the human activities. And the food and nutrition changes, of course, is because the people have changing their diets and their diet styles. So it's changing. So here is some pictures I'm showing you. This is the encroachment in the Amazon River. This is a satellite photograph. What they are doing, this is a lush green forest, evergreen forest, and they clear the roads. This is not a road, it's a very big area because this is a satellite photograph. Then they will go on encroaching the tertiary areas, and they will grow soybeans. Then they will fail all the plants, all the tree species, and they will go for crop cultivation, thereby degrading the whole Amazon environment. As you know, Amazon and the rainforest is shrinking day by day, 6,000 hectares per day. It is shrinking. Another middle is the example of the monocropping, or how monocrop can devastate the ecosystem. This is one example. This is an example from Malaysia, where the lush green forest of Malaysia has been eradicated, and in their places, these oil palm trees are being grown. So a huge area of land has been converted into oil palm cultivation, which is a monocrop, and thereby depleting the indigenous biodiversity in those reserves. And this is the city from the satellite. The different cities of the world, as you can see, it is very congested now. Almost every cities are touching each other. So much of population in the world. So finding solutions. So we need to find a solution. Everybody in the world are aware about the problems that the human being is created, including the climate change. But everybody is looking for a solution. And what is the solution? So when we talk about the sustainability, there is three spheres basically. One is environmental integrity. A thing will be sustainable only when we maintain the integrity of the environment. Otherwise, it is not. Now, our agriculture is seriously threatening the integrity of the environment. That is why it is not sustainable. The modern agriculture system is not very sustainable in all respects. And social justice. Until and unless you have social justice in your society, we cannot call it a sustainable development of a society. Then economic growth. Of course, with sustainability, there need to have inclusive economic growth of all sections of the people. Otherwise, so these are the three spheres, but these are interconnected spheres. And if you try to alter one sphere, that has negative effects on the other spheres as well. And these are the human population. What are the bad effects? You can see severe land degradation, then air and water pollution. All we know about those things. Loss of biodiversity in supply chains, then leading to epidemic of non-communicable disease. This is one of the greatest woes of the modern agriculture or modern food system. That is, we are depending on few crops like rice, wheat, few crops. And these crops are loaded with sugars or the high glycemic index. So we are having the type 2 diabetes. All people are having type 2 diabetes and the cardiovascular problems. So this is our food habit that is considering this. But luckily, if we look at our traditional Indian systems for resource management, agricultural resource management. So when we talk about agricultural resource management, it really means that it is soil, the water, and the biodiversity or agrobiodiversity. These are basic components of agricultural resources in our world. So if we look at our old times, we have a lot of technologies which were functional until the Britishers came. We were happy with these technologies. We produce enough for our own people. And these technologies, which are different in different places, function very well to support our population of that time. But since there was a population boom in India subsequent to the independence, our population increased so much that we needed more food. Our traditional varieties, which were low yielder, although they have a lot of other good characteristics, but they were low yielders, and there are some inherent problems like losing and etc. So we had to import technologies like different varieties, short duration varieties, and that boost up the Indian production in wheat and rice. So that led us to self-sufficiency in food grain production. That was necessary, of course, because of the. But if we look at our systems, you see we have different kind of farming systems, which are very able farming systems, and people who are following these systems from thousands of years. Like organic farming. This is organic farming is the contribution of India only. Now the Western countries are adopting this organic farming, but we have been practicing organic farming from the Vedic yugas. So this is a very good for the environment. They do not give up any unnecessary material in the production system. Then terrace farming of Himalayan regions. As you can see in Himalayan regions, including our northeast states, we have a lot of terrace gardens. So this is the example of utilization of land resources in the most efficient way, because their terrains are hilly. They cannot grow all kind of crop. They cannot retain water in those. So terrace farming was a way that solves many of the problems for the tribal people. Then Zoom cultivation, you might have heard in Northeast, Zoom cultivation is a very age-old process. Age-old process. People depend upon the fertilization of the soil by burning down the crop residues or the jungles, and they complete this cycle after 2 or 3 years. They shift to another places. This is called the shifting cultivation. Then rice fish farming in Arunachal, in Bengal, in Assam also we have now rice fish. This is very old traditional agricultural system where we grow both rice and fish together, so that the farmers' income, they have a better income as well as good nutrition. Then dryland farming in Rajasthan, they have very scanty rainfall, so they have adopted some definite pattern of farming system where they utilize the littlest of the raindrops that falls on the Rajasthan deserts or Rajasthan area. Agroforestry is a very vibrant example of such. So there are different kind of farming systems which functions very well in different regions, depending upon the climate and the soil condition of those, on the topography of this particular area. So these are not out of vogue, still not out of vogue. The marginal farmers are still following this, and they're having a good production out of this. Then we are very proud that Indians had very good traditional water management systems. Some of them are still working, like step wells. These are medieval wells where steps are dug so that people can go down to the wells and collect water, step wells. That's called baulis. Then tanks and reservoirs. If you go to the South India, you will see all the drinking water till today is brought from the tanks which were dug thousands of or hundreds of years ago. In Assam also, we have big ponds where this is a source of water collection, rainwater harvesting system actually, and we still use them for drinking water and irrigation. Very big ponds are there in Jorhat, Sibsagar district, as well as strewn all over the district, Assam. Then any cuts and check dams, people have learned early in the history how to put a dam in a small stream or small reel coming from the water catchment area. So from that, they divert water to their irrigated plots. Then coulees in Himachal Pradesh, this is a way how to divert the water from a mountainous stream to their valleys so that they can irrigate their crops there in the coulees. This is the coulee system. Then Eri system in Tamil Nadu, this is another. Khadins is the one. This is a typical system used in Rajasthan where the single drop of rainwater is harvested by putting a check dam there. And the interesting thing is that downstairs, they also dig a bore well so that they can collect the run of water from the bore well. The crop is harvested in between the plant trees and the check dam. This is the area where plant is grown because there is sufficient moisture coming down from this slopes. And this check dams retains the moisture or the water. Then some of the water goes down below. So it is once again collected in the bore wells or the wells. And this is another one is Bhandara. It is used in Maharashtra. So this is basically the same system, but Maharashtra also have relatively low rainfall and rocky terrains. So whatever natural streams are there or the rainfall catchment areas is there, they used to build these kind of dams. This is not new dams. Hundreds of years ago, they built these dams, still functional today. So crop diversity is another important thing in India because we still have a lot of crop diversity, and that nourish our people and provide us good nutrients. Because if you look in some other countries, they have already almost lost their entire crop diversity. They are dependent on few crops, vegetable, if 2 or 3 vegetables, and fruit crops, 2 or 3 fruit crops. But in our country, in every district, in every state, you will find different set of crops are being grown according to their climate, according to their soil type. So still we have a large crop diversity, and that is reflected in our platters, in our plates. So we eat different kind of foods altogether that supports our nutrition and besides providing the energy that we need. This is our very strong point still now. That is why it is very important to conserve this agrobiodiversity. Then soil fertility management. From ancient time, we have been practicing these things, composting, green manuring. This is nothing new, although we still teach the people, farmers, how to do that. But this has been done thousands of years ago. Composting, green manuring, vermicomposting, crop rotation, agroforestry, indigenous microorganism. It seems that we only recently discovered the microorganism application in the agricultural fields, but people have been doing it from long time. And the cow dung, the urine of the cow, it contains natural microorganisms that fertilize the soil. So people have been utilizing it from a long time. There's nothing new about it. And these are the different crop disease pest management methods that we have on it. So whenever there is disease or pest, we used to control them with. Still, we sometimes use it. Traditional seed treatment methods with cow dung, wood wash, then cultural practice, plowing field deeply so that the burrowing insects can be exposed to the sun and eaten by the birds. Then the crop diversity and rotation, we maintain the crop diversity in the field. That means we go for mixed cropping or intercropping, and we put a lot of crops together, particularly in our small homestead gardens. In Assam also you will see that there is a large diversity of crops that we plant together. One important thing about this crop diversity within a very small area is the protection of the crop from the disease and pest, because they have different species growing together. So the opportunity of the insect pest or disease to infect them is less. This is why this crop rotation, crop diversity in the plant is very important. Then intercropping and companion planting. This companion planting is done mainly to attract the disease and pest to that crop instead of our own targeted crop. So this is a practice, very old practice. We still follow it. Then because this was another point that was asked me to deliver on, this is environment, how the knowledge system in the environment management. Water harvesting, I have already discussed. We have a very great knowledge how to harvest water in this country, because this country is in most of the places it is deficient in water. So whatever water we get, we try to harvest it with different mechanisms like ponds and the check dams, etc. Then traditional knowledge and climate and weather. And this is another thing. Every state, they have their own knowledge of climates, when the rain will come, when the monsoon will come, and when it is going to be a dry spell. The farmers, they just know it. They have long understanding of the climate so intimately that they can predict that looking at the certain signs in the environment, they can say that rain is imminent or dry spell is imminent. They have this kind of knowledge. Of course, this kind of knowledge is being gradually fading away from the people, because we are not teaching our next generation, or the coming generation, these important values to the people. Then sacred sites and cultural practices. We have sacred sites. For example, in India, the sacred sites are related to religious places where we have a lot of bans there. We cannot cut jungles there. We cannot do certain things those places. So these are the areas where the environment get protected, the soil get protected, the plants get protected. For example, in Meghalaya, we have called the sacred groups. These are sacred groups. Nobody can enter there. Whatever diversity is there, nobody has the right to alter it. Nobody has the right to cultivate in those places. So they are left alone, and as a result, the biodiversity there thrives. Then the forest management, we have traditional forest management system, particularly in the Himachal Pradesh. If you go there, the forest management system is very, they have different groups of people engaged for the maintaining the forest. They will collect on the non-essential timbers from the forest and the dry things, non-essential, and even go for cultivation within the forest, small-scale cultivation. So this is how they manage the forest and forest biodiversity. Biodiversity conservation, we have already mentioned. Then traditional medicine and then herbal remedies. This is a very strong point in Indian culture. We have a lot of traditional medicine. Every community has got traditional medicines and herbal remedies. For everything, we are using herbal medicine. In fact, the West has copied our style of these herbal medicines. They are making a lot of herbal medicine nowadays, and they're selling it in their own markets as well as in Indian as well. But we are the guardians of this particular remedies. Traditional seed conservation method, we know how to conserve our seed, the traditional. So we have different devices to long-term conservation of these seeds like many seeds of many crops. Indian knowledge on nutrition, traditional dietary diversity. You can see in the picture, we eat not a lot, but a lot of ingredients we put together in our diet so that our nutrition and the energy need is fulfilled. So these are coming from different local crops. The diet of Assam is quite different from that of the Rajasthan because Rajasthan also have a different kind of diet with different components, but we have also here different components. So this diversity we are utilizing properly to our own nutrition. Then fermented food is a way of conserving foods for a long period, for the period of famine, for the period of bad weather condition. We have mastered many techniques of fermenting foods, including the milk, meat, fish, etc. We practice it commonly. Then millets is a traditional, very high value and very hardy, sturdy crops which can withstand long span of droughts, etc. So this crop get prominence in those areas where rainfall is very scanty, for example, in South India. But millet is, we are trying to bring it to the mainstream because it's a very good diet and it doesn't have a lot of carbs. Indigenous knowledge on wild edible food, particularly in the hill districts, the tribal people have great knowledge on different edible plants. We do not imagine how many they can gather from the jungle. In fact, one of the reasons that we didn't have famine in Northeast India many times, because we can survive. If we have rice, we can survive with all the wild ingredients. So there was no famine in Assam or Northeast India. Community-based nutrition practices, some nutrition practices like adding ghee to our roti or different, ghee is a very nutritious commodity. So when we add ghees in our different dishes, that increases the nutritive value. And there are many examples of such things. Sustainable livelihood, if we talk about Indian knowledge on sustainable livelihood, then sustainable agriculture is the one. We all understand what is sustainable agriculture. Then watershed management is one. Watershed, how to manage the watershed for your irrigation purpose and for drinking purpose. And I have already discussed that different communities or different states have different mechanism for harvesting the water. Then forest-based livelihood, I have already mentioned that one. Then livestock management, we have a unique way of managing our livestock in different states. Community-based fisheries, then social safety networks. This is particularly true, social safety networks. We have a kind of built-up mechanism of having a seed bank or grain bank like that one. As far as the conservation of the biodiversity or agrodiversity is concerned, or the sustainable resource management is concerned, we have been so far successful utilizing our own traditional system. That is why we have that kind of crop diversity, that kind of different diversity in resource management. But threats and pressures are also there coming up because the new generation is following a westernized culture and their food habits are changing. Then rapid urbanization is having, then industrialization is taking place. Because of this traditional knowledge has been pushed back to certain degrees. And many people have tend to forget our traditional values and traditional ways of agriculture. Changing livelihood. So this is the main theme. Now I would like to point out some of the points that I thought of about the roadmap of boosting Indian traditional system for sustainable resource management. That is, one is policy and legal framework. We need to bring all these resource management aspects into legal policy framework. Until and unless there is a legal binding, there is every chance that this will be not implemented in the real sense. What is happening right now. And the community rights, protecting the community rights of our natural resources is very important. We need to give the community rights because they are the managers of the community resources. If they do not have the rights, they cannot act upon. So it is very important. Then institutional support, sir was also mentioning that institutionalization of these issues is very, very important. We need to localize, institutionalize it in the local, regional, and the national level. Then for collaboration between traditional practitioners, local communities, and scientists, policymakers, this is very important. This collaboration will have to be there. Only then we can go ahead. Policymaker, then scientists, and the local communities. Then capacity building and awareness. So this is a continuous process. We need to capacity build the people who are at the grassroots level to usher in this kind of traditional practices, which is still feasible and reliable at the context of the marginal farmer level. Then research and research on traditional knowledge system, because we have a way of validating several of the traditional knowledge, but traditional knowledges are so huge in India that every state or every Union territory, they need to have a research on this and validating those traditional technologies, which are still functional, which are still good for the present context. Those can be disseminated further. Then economic incentive, if you can provide economic, until and unless economy is linked with the livelihood of the people, they are not interested. So linking the livelihood or resource management system with economic incentive is very, very important. The government can provide economic incentive for traditional practices such as organic farm, sustainable agricultural products, handicraft, herbal medicine, etc. Then networking and knowledge exchange, it is very important. Establish platform, knowledge exchange network and collaboration among traditional practitioners, research, policymakers, and stakeholders. Then monitoring and evaluation. Somebody was speaking about this monitoring and evaluation. What is the progress of our adoption of these technologies, or the we need to monitor very regularly and see what is the loopholes in those, and we try to rectify those loopholes. Then funding and resource allocation is important. Until and unless there is fund from the government, this kind of research or this kind of activity may not be possible. Advocacy, we need to advocate for to promote the integration of traditional practices into sustainable development agenda of the UNO. Then documentation and preservation, this is very important. Like SAR has already documented few of these traditional methods, but these are the ITKs. But there are those traditional methods that I have mentioned, those need to be documented and analyze what is the possibility of their utility in the current scenario. So these are some of the points that I just wanted to share you. Thank you very much.